Make way for the bad guy.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Crowd Pleaser, the podcast that brings you the inside scoop on what it takes to be a male entertainer in today's age. I'm your host, Cesar Goyaso, aka Cesar the Crowd Pleaser, and this is episode 21 of the podcast, where my special guest and myself will be discussing some of the traits and techniques we use to have longevity in the industry. Stop it from wearing you down and whatnot and going the distance like some people do. But first things first, I want to thank La Bear Dallas and Hardbody San Antonio. They're our respective clubs where we both operate and perform our shows at 5 nights a week, Wednesday to Sunday. Definitely check us out. We have all kinds of bachelorette events, divorce parties, you name it, you need retirement parties, we got it. Come on out here, put your girl on stage, embarrass her a little bit. It's a great time for everyone. That being said, all the entertainers are also available for private parties or stripograms, so call and book yours today and we'll bring a great show to your own home or hotel room. Next is patreon.com/crowdpleaser. This is where you get to give back to the show. That helps me make improvements, bring on different guests, get better equipment, get giveaways and stuff like that. This week we're going to be giving away a t-shirt from the Crowd Pleaser contest that has all the entertainers' names on the back as well as the date of the premiere. And this shirt is going to go off to Cassandra Jean. Thank you for being a member of the Patreon. We really appreciate your support and glad we could give something back to you for giving something back to us to give back to you, and so on and so forth. So appreciate you. Everyone else, we want to thank you once again for being on there. There's no kinds of restrictions or requirements. You can sign up for as little as $1 a show or as much as you like. You get all kinds of neat perks. I typically put the judging, uncut versions on the Patreon for you to see from the reality show, as well as behind the scenes looks and the video portion of this podcast, which you get to see Mandingo in all his dreadful glory and bomb ass glasses. So that will segue into my special guest, as I just called him out. He's been an entertainer at Hardbodies for over 5 years. He is an up-and-coming recording artist, recording and creating his own music. And he is placed in over 6 strip-offs, taking down at least 2 of them. I'd like to welcome on the show Mandingo Jones. How you doing, Mandingo?
I'm doing great.
Thanks
it's great to be here. This is nice. This is fun.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Mandingo has reached out to me and wondering what it takes to be on the show, and I told him you just pretty much have to want to be on. And so we have coordinated, and I am down in San Antonio to celebrate a fellow entertainer's birthday, and so Mandingo came on the show to talk about some stuff. So like I just stated, Mandingo has been entertaining for 5 years, which is just shy of under what I am doing, coming up on 6 years in February. So I figured he'd be a great person to talk about this stuff. And what we're going to kind of do is touch on the things, because this job has such a high attrition rate. People normally stay within 3 to 6 months and quit. Or if they make it to that 1 year port, you kind of go the distance after that. We use this job as a stepping stone to bigger and better things, but sometimes it can last a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, based on what your goals are and what you're looking to do. So that being said, a year is typically that breaking point. So why do you feel, Mandingo, that a year is that tipping point where you know you're good doing this job and you can go the distance?
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on here. As I said earlier, you mentioned earlier, I wanted to be on here and answer a couple of questions and speak about a few topics. It's been a long time coming and I'm glad I'm here. But to answer your question, I personally believe that it shows what you're made of. It shows just how willing you are to suffer. You have to suffer for a little bit as a male entertainer. And the first year of when I say suffering, that doesn't mean it's like it's all horrible. What I'm saying is suffering is like you have so many moments where you're like, well, why can't I do that yet? Or how do I do that? And it takes a lot of time to breach through that. And after a year of doing something, for the most part, I believe human nature, after a year, it gets easier to be dedicated to something. So when I see somebody sticking there for a year, I do personally believe that they will be successful at the job and they will stick around. It's a lot easier for me to believe that for somebody who's been around for a year. So I think a year is it's the perfect amount of time to see how much somebody would be dedicated to something like that.
Well, another portion of that too is also, I feel like, conditioning. Like when you're doing any kind of sport, before you start training the actual sport, you prepare your body. You do the conditioning.
For sure.
And so if you're wrestling, if you're football, if you're basketball, anything, the first thing you do is get your body into the shape to where you can actually perform that sport, and then you start learning the dynamics and technique.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like stripping is no different. You need to learn the intestinal fortitude, the emotional fortitude, and the mental strength to endure not making money, not understanding how to interact with a various group of women, and how to manage your own self in that kind of environment. So all that you don't learn overnight, regardless of what kind of human being you are. There's nothing that you've done prior to that could prepare you for that. And going through it for 6 months, 8 months, 10, and then making a year, I think really shows that you have passed that, like you said, the suffering part, trial by fire. You've like, you know what, I can endure the worst of this. It can only go up from here, so now I'm good to move on.
Right.
During that time frame, you also get to observe other people, watch what they're doing, maybe not necessarily emulate them, but incorporate the aspects of what they're doing into what you need to be. Right. If you're like, why are those guys getting all these girls to come up and talk to them every time? Or how is this guy getting his body in that kind of shape? And things like that. You start to learn that through observation and just inquiring about it, wisdom, picking the brains of veterans and stuff like that.
Sure.
As well as figuring out the type of entertainer you want to be. Are you going to be the slow, methodical, evil one? Are you going to be hype and very outgoing and very energetic? Or are you going to play on the sensual side? Like, there's so many different aspects that you just don't know until you sit there night after night on that stage talking to people and interacting with people.
Yeah, no doubt. A year does tell a lot about your character and your potential as a dancer. After a year, though, it also tells you that it's just a good mark. It's good to be like, oh, like it's a good anniversary point. It's a great point for you to be like, God, it's been a year. And even if you've been hanging around, this isn't for every person who's been going through it for a year, but even if you're hanging around and you're not doing as much as you know you could, and you're kind of taking your time on it, and you're just making your money here, after a year, something about that year should tell you, I need to change something. I have to get better
evolve.
at something. Yeah.
You have to evolve, find the next step of your entertainer evolution, if you will. Ooh, I should trademark that.
Entertainer evolution.
Yep.
You beat me to it.
Gotta be quick, man. Gotta be quick.
Quick drama, grog.
So, the first major hurdle that people have trouble with, in the average workforce, you get a paycheck. Whether it's hourly or salary, you more or less understand what you're getting paid on a regular basis. Working in the service industry, strictly tip-based, 100%, because we don't receive a base pay, we don't get anything off the door, we don't get anything off the bar.
Right.
Money fluctuates. You have good weeks, you have bad weeks, you have good nights, you have bad nights. You have a busy season during the summer, we have a slow season during the winter. And that could play a big toll on people's emotions and mental stability when you're not the best at managing money or can't plan ahead and stuff like that. So what are some of the techniques that you have done to allow you to essentially mitigate some of the pressure that puts on you?
Well, it took me a couple of those seasons for me to be like, as I said before, something's got to change. So after a couple of, and I had my fair warning too. I tried, but I didn't do it correctly. I knew it was coming. Almost every single sort of service industry, or if you want to call us that, has its busy and it has its slow times.
Yep.
So, I mean, it only makes sense that in this particular industry, there's a large window when you can make money, and then there's another almost equally large window where you will have to either work harder for your money, or you're going to have to budget better. Now, what changed for me after a couple of years was not necessarily that I tried to change my spending too much, because it was really more so me trying to invest, as you mentioned earlier, you know, recording artists and whatnot, and there were a lot of things I had to invest in, but...
And it's easier to spend it when you feel like it's for your future and it's a business investment.
Oh, for sure. So what I realized I had to do was basically just work harder. I had to realize, like, okay, well, how would I make more money if I'm not going to be able to save money per se because I'm investing? How will I be able to make it when no one else, quote unquote, can? Not saying it's not possible. It's obviously possible, but how can I try to match how much I'm making at this point in time with what I'm making easily? That was my thought process versus just budgeting, because budgeting in this case would slow down my career that I want to keep going.
Understandable, yeah.
And that's how you lose it over time. All of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I really wanted to do this, but
the opportunity is gone.
I could never afford it, and now I could still do it, but it would be a lot more, you know what? Like, I didn't want that to happen.
There's always tomorrow type mentality.
Yeah, that'll kill you.
Yep.
That'll kill you. So my mind, I had to try not necessarily to budget, because budgeting was out of the question for me. I now had to make more during the time that I was supposed to make less. And it was just through my own reasoning, my own deductions, my own observations, and with the help, obviously, I didn't do it by myself. I've asked people who've been around many different questions on how to maintain consistency as an entertainer during the more rough parts of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of their help, Titan, Randy, those are two of the, Jimmy,
yep,
even Kenny.
The guys that put their time in the field, so to speak, and working it. For me, mine has expanded for as little as a weekly thing all the way across a whole year span. Mm-hmm. So for me, to start off small, what I learned is that you're gonna have your good nights, you're gonna have your bad nights. Right. One of the ways I emotionally stunt that from affecting me, i.e. being at a super high or being a super low, is I don't worry about my nights anymore. I haven't, and what I do is I just keep track of my weeks. Like, I want to make sure that my week falls within a certain range that I'm comfortable with. Mm-hmm. I always want to strive for it to go over, but as long as I'm in that range, then it doesn't matter if I made all my money in 2 nights, or if I made all my money across 5 nights, or if I made all my money on Wednesday and Sunday. As long as I meet that range that I've given myself, then I had a good week. And that helps me not stress when I have those nights where I walk away with $40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and it also stops me from getting super high when I have, let's say, a strip off or an event night where I do make insane money, and then I'm like, oh sweet, my week is made. Like, it keeps me hungry on both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
That being said, I also treat it like a business in my ass. So all the money I make, I do not spend it until I quote unquote write me a check at the end of the week. So all the money I make this week gets put away. I deposit it in my company account, and I don't see it. I don't touch that money. The money does not exist until that Monday when I go to the bank, and then I pay myself my paycheck. And really, all that does is, for me, make it just like I was working a 9-to-5 job. No job says, "Hey, congratulations on your first day. Here's your paycheck for the week." You have to work that week, and then you get paid. And it's what I do, and it's the same thing I do, and that kind of helps me stay ahead of the game, because I'm never worried about the money I'm making right now or the money I'm gonna make. I'm always using the money I've already made. And so it kind of falls in that budgeting aspect that you talked about, but then I always know what I'm working with. Like I know my bills are paid because I'm using the money from last month.
Right.
So everything I make now is like you said, planning ahead, making investments. So I know that even if I have a slow week, somewhere in my army of bigger plans, or my masterpiece of plans, I'm able to, like, somewhere in there, my money's making me money where it's gonna compensate for the times where I'm not. And then, like you said, just the foresight of knowing that, hey, winter's gonna slow down. I'm probably only going to be making money off of the regulars, my loyal regulars that come in to see me, and even that number is going to adjust somewhat. So you have to plan accordingly.
Right.
And I think those things definitely help you cross that biggest hurdle, which is just plain old income. No one likes to see their paycheck go down, but in this line of work, it does happen.
Yeah, and because even sometimes, man, you just can't. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. Like there's going to be times where you're just going to have to deal with it for a certain amount of time. Don't give up on it, but I mean, there are some times where you just kind of like, I don't have any choice but to deal with the situation to the best that I can right now.
Yeah. You have to stress and worry about the things you can control and release the things that you cannot, because it can't change.
That helps you a lot mentally.
So, like you said, every year you check yourself, you look towards how can you change to improve. Mm-hmm. This shows, like you said, you've been in the business 5 years. That does lead to some level of repetition and boredom. How do you fight that from being, another stigma that catches everybody in their jobs? They're tired of living Groundhog Day. How do you cope or deal or prevent that?
One of the biggest ways that I break the monotony of, if you could believe this to be possible to be monotonous. I know from the outside looking in, it's like, well, why would you ever, why would you ever have any kind of monotony in that? You don't see the rehearsals, you don't see the constant music cutting, it's
teaching all the new guys the group acts.
Even just listening to a song, and instead of just listening to it as someone listening to a song, you listen to it and you're like, oh, I should do something to that.
Yes.
You're thinking.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah. Every song, I run through my head like, can I play this on stage? What would I do to it, or can I put this in an act? Yep. 100%. I feel you on that.
It's automatic, and it's like, oh, I gotta take a break. So sometimes simply taking a break, and I know a lot of times if you're not moving towards something, you get very anxious because you want to work on it. You don't want to lose whatever skill you've gained. But through all the hours and hours and hours and hours of work, if you're putting in the hours and hours and hours of work as an entertainer, there's going to be a little bit of room left for what's the word I'm looking for? Serendipity, I guess, something like that. A little bit of room left for that, so that you can easily come, because there's a lot of grinding out as an entertainer. There's a lot of thinking about, well, something as simple as having all your choreography and then just wanting to finish the act. You're like, well, I can't just finish it like this. I have to finish it this way because, well, I mean, why would I not? If this act is this, or this act is that, or, well, I got to start this with a bang, or, well, I have this and this. I need something in between it. There's always, it's so, like, something as simple as that will drive you crazy. And sometimes you just need a break. You just need to watch a National Geographic documentary and try not to think about putting it as a voiceover in your act or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just be every once in a while, be, for lack of a better word, normal, I guess.
Yeah, no,
not to say anybody who's normal to be offended by that. I'm just saying, like, not be an entertainer for a day.
Have a hobby. Have a hobby that that actively takes your mind somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, I mean, we garden at my house. Like, there's a garden in the backyard.
Yeah, you mentioned that on the show, on the reality show. It showed the garden stuff. You got that green thumb trait from your mom, I believe, right?
Yeah. Every once in a while, you just go out there and I just hack away at the ground with with a hoe and a shovel and dig up some stuff and get ready for the next round. Like, it's certain things are satisfying. Go fishing, or even honestly, not even necessarily just you don't always have to stop. Sometimes you just gotta go somewhere else. As you know, living in Florida, I've seen you down there, and traveling is a huge, like, working somewhere else. That's a huge thing. Yep. It's huge. It's great to break
it's nice to pay for your vacation a little bit, but two, like you said, every club has its own persona, its own kind of work ethic, and being able to see an entirely different environment really helps rekindle the fury within yourself and creativity, as well as just appreciation. Sometimes you like what another club does more, sometimes you really like what your club does more.
Yeah.
You know, like you and I are spoiled with our ceilings and stages, because working Miami, both their stages are freaking tremendously small.
Right. About
yeah. Imagine a large ottoman. That's what they perform on down there, and they make do with it. They do the best they can.
They do great with it, man.
But it definitely and for me, I see where you're coming from, and I do that as well. But I am such a goal-oriented workaholic that for me, I just like pushing my limits and boundaries and doing things different.
Yeah.
I keep track of the styles of choreography I've created. You know, okay, I've done a techno act, I've choreographed hip hop, I've choreographed country. You know, I haven't done salsa yet. Like, I keep track of things like that. Okay, I've done a movie, I've done a TV show. Let me see if I could try to do a comedy skit, things like that, and just change up what I'm doing on a personal level. Both on stage and off. Sometimes I do social experiments. There are times where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna see what happens if this whole weekend I talk with a Mexican accent, or if it just.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah. Or do the meow game like they did in Super Troopers. You know, things like that.
Oh, right meow.
Yeah.
Right meow.
Exactly, right meow. I still do it sometimes, even in text and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it does, and it really helps break up the monotony and just. Little things like that can like totally break up the day in and day out work of it. You know what I mean? A big thing for us is also on Sunday Fun Days. I don't know if you guys have it, but we'll purposely do anything we can to disrupt the show on Sundays. We'll come out in awkward costumes. We'll mess with each other on stage. We'll yell. We'll laugh. We'll crack jokes. Like, we just do anything we can, and it's just a way of breaking up this show for both the regulars that come in all the time, but for us as well. We get to have all kinds of inventive ways of messing with each other. Like, who doesn't want to do that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. The costume one is another interesting. It's hilarious. We've done that a bunch of times. With the costumes. Like, we've traded costumes and then I remember Titan did a pony routine in like his Predator bike helmet.
Oh, that's awesome. That's got to be good.
Oh, here's another fun one. Since you see, as an entertainer, this sounds kind of cheesy, but it's fun to me. It's funny to us. Sometimes we'll do each other's acts.
Oh yeah, we do that.
And y'all imitate their style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You do all their signature moves and stuff like that. Play their music. Yeah, we've done that. That's a good one. That one really ends up being a lot of fun. Like, everyone gets a kick out of it. Oh yeah, for sure. It always is. Especially seeing someone trying to do something either they're not capable of or overdoing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's really neat. So moving into our next major factor of trying to deal with, get that longevity out of this career is the drama. Like, we deal in a business that is very emotionally involved, regardless of what you try to do, whether it's you just being passionate about your show, your fans really liking you, developing relationships and stuff like that with both the guys and the females, the patrons that come to the club. So, like, one of the issues that creates such drama for us is dealing with drunk women on the weekends, right? Mm-hmm. Like, how do you manage that?
I don't. I just walk away.
Just straight up, you just pop smoke, break contact?
Well, it depends, because there's a certain kind of drunk where I'm like, look.
The violent drunk?
Well, yeah, the violent drunk, I'm just gonna bob, weave, and leave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Bob, weave, leave. There's no point. It's not worth it. As a dancer, as bad as this may sound, at my club, it's not my job to deal with an overly drunk woman. It is either the waiter or the owner's job or whoever. So if I use my judgment and I realize a woman is just too out of control, she might just be emotionally charged towards me, or she just might be emotionally charged towards whatever's going on around her. The minute I recognize there's really no talking any sense to her, or there's really no good way for me to have a conversation with her, I am out. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, no, my favorite go-to to pop smoke is I gotta help one of the guys on stage. Bye.
I usually do, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, 9 out of 10 times I'm not lying to them, but then again, I've come to realize that once they're a certain point of inebriated, I don't really care because their feelings aren't going to be hurt.
Yeah.
And I just like, hey, sorry, I got to help the next guy. I really would love to absolutely stay and chat with you, but I got to go help. Sorry. Yeah. And it's normally good enough. The other kind for me are the ones that are really, really chatty, like they just kind of talk in a circle. They're not really annoying, but they're not going anywhere. And those are typically the ones I end up kind of choke holding themselves on side stage because I take their hand. I'm like, all right, well, thanks for coming up and tipping me. And I try to turn them around with their own arm.
And then they hit
But they just don't turn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They
like, oh, no, it's time to go.
You got to give them a little like light pat in the butt. Like, come on, get off the stage. You're going. How about first timers? Like, obviously the weekends are infamous for this. You get plenty of women. You'll get 1 or 2 women that come in that've been there before, but they typically bring, especially for parties, bachelorette parties, birthday parties, they bring a ton of people who've never been there before. And as for me, I am okay with them being shy. I am okay with them feeling a little lost. Excuse me. That doesn't bother me at all, believe it or not, because I can imagine being in their shoes, and I can deal with that. What gets me is the first timers that just have it hell-bent set in their heads that they're not going to have a good time. That starts to bug me because I'm like, you're out already. Your friends are here for you. Like, you might as well make the most of it. And I promise we have enough going on that you're going to find something that you enjoy in some form or fashion if you at least are open-minded to it. And typically with those girls, I just tell them, you know what, like, I'll wait till you get some drinks and you have a lot of fun, and I just pop smoke and I just leave them alone.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm not going to waste the emotional and mental energy that I have for that night on someone that just rather not be there.
Yeah, don't put yourself through that. It's also difficult to make that call sometimes, especially when you're on the main stage, and then you'll have a girl looking at you like, sometimes you're just not the flavor of the night. That's just how it goes. Sometimes they don't like you. Not necessarily have anything against you, but sometimes they're just not attracted to you, or they just might have so-and-so amount left and want to give it to you or somebody else. And it's just, it is what it is. But like you said, there are those who are there. You'll see them all night. And like I said, the call's hard to make because sometimes they'll be there all night and then they don't want to go to the main stage. They don't want to go to side stage. They just want to go do dances with their favorite guy, and you didn't even know that you came to see that guy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But there are some girls who, first timers, come with a group and they're sitting there looking like an aggravated designated driver.
Yeah.
Like they're sitting there like...
Yeah.
You're doing that, but I try to change that a little bit. I mean, the most that you can do at that point is just humor for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If I don't, I'm either gonna leave you alone or I'm gonna laugh at you, or you gonna laugh with me.
Yeah,
like, something's gonna.
One way or another, I'm gonna have a good time, and you can either join in on it or not.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
That also leads into another big portion of it is parties. Like women, when they go out for some reason, have very much the either A, monkey see, monkey do mentality, or the herd mentality, where when one girl does it, they all have to do it. And I don't mean this derogatory. That's just what we've always called it.
Yeah.
And it's true. If a girl puts $1 in her bra and it works, every other girl that sees that is gonna do the same thing. So what you get is these parties that either A, 3 or 4 of the girls are just those that don't want to have a good time, so they're bored, so then everyone else feels kind of awkward about having a good time. Or B, there's 2 or 3 wild childs in the party, and they're smacking dudes in the butt and taking shots and trying to jump on stage and stuff like that, and so the whole party is extremely rowdy. And either extreme can be a little awkward. Like honestly, if I had my choice, I think I might be okay with them being a little more party-ish and you being like, hey, tone it down just a little bit, like you can't really do that, because at least they create atmosphere.
Yeah,
versus when there's a table that's not doing anything, they just kill the mood.
Sure.
So how do you deal with that, Mandingo? Like do you just, because I mean sometimes you can't avoid it when it's 8 or 10 girls that are traveling in a pack. Like it's really hard to just pop smoke on them.
We're talking overly aggressive? Or?
Either or, brother. Either or. Your club's a little different because you actually don't have party packages around side stages. So really they have to come up to your side stage. You know, versus us, all 4 of our side stages have packages around them.
Well, so they're going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and go with overtly rowdy. What's your remedy for this?
It depends on the kind of girl. Different demographics are a different kind of rowdy, in a sense. Like, people party differently, I guess you could say. Some people are, when they get drunk, they get overly aggressive. Some people get drunk, they get overly sad. You ever had that girl that's just talking to you on the side stage crying?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh.
I've said it before on the show, man. We're unlicensed therapists.
Yeah, man. It's just crying. Like, this is my first time meeting her, and she's just like, thank you.
Yeah. You've helped me get through a rough time.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm glad to hear that. But there comes a certain point where it's just kind of like, thank you. You're so sweet. And there's like a line of girls behind her.
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
know?
this might be something we can continue in a VIP dance.
You know, like I feel you. I know we all feel pain and whatever happened. I don't know what happened, but y'all have divorce parties, right?
Yeah. Oh, we have it all.
Whatever. Divorce parties. My dog just died party.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Made a year at my job, so I brought my bosses out party.
Yeah.
And lastly, with women, since you did touch on the emotional thing, there's so many women that come to the club, and sometimes you have multiple women on one night that like you. It is inevitable that there is a certain level of jealousy that happens. I'm not saying it's 100%, but I would say more than half the time, jealousy occurs. That's one of the biggest headaches for people that have been doing this a long time, because you develop a larger and larger fan base. And some women are great about it. Some women are completely mature about it, but some are not. Mm-hmm. And it can take a toll on you because it's a lot of he said, she said, or backdooring and things like that. And this is a topic that's big enough to make a whole podcast of, and I'm going to do that later on. But as far as for you to deal with it, for me, I only want to deal with the destructive stuff. If someone is doing something that is destructive to A, themselves, B, another female, or C, me, then I want to know about it. If it's just rambling like soap operas, drama stuff, then I don't care about it. You can choose to believe it if you want to or not, or put warrant on it. At the end of the day, it's just an insecure person expressing insecure feelings, to me. And that's how it goes back to budgeting and managing my emotional resources and what I do want to devote energy to and what I don't.
Right.
And like I said, and I do call them out. Every once in a while, you'll get someone that ends up being a little verbally harsh with it or violent, and that I do call out. I'm like, that is immature nature, and it shouldn't be. I'm not going to tolerate it. And then usually nips it in the butt fairly quickly.
So much nicer than I am.
That being said, though, sometimes it happens from people that don't even like you.
Yeah.
That's another one that surprises the heck out of me, when a girl that is clearly there for somebody else ends up somehow either talking smack about you or talking smack in and around, like something that revolves around you. You're like, you don't even like me. Why does it even matter? Mm-hmm. So, all right, you just said I'm too nice about it. So how do you deal with it?
You're not too nice. I was saying it kind of jokingly, but it's as lighthearted as I try to be about those particular situations. I'm one of those people who have a very, very direct way of making things known. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, more so along the lines of, hey, don't do that shit. Like, don't do that, because for all the same reasons why you would say what you say, I just don't necessarily explain all of that. I'm just like straightforward, like, hey. And honestly, the way I am about a lot of this, first and foremost, a lot of drama is avoided when women that go to see the same guy usually don't become friends with the other women that are there to see.
Thank you. Yes, that was something I learned as well. I used to be all about people getting together and congregating and stuff like that, and that's just not the right way to go about it.
No, because it's if somebody is attached to you in a sense because y'all have a great friendship. I mean, when someone else threatens that, why would you expect them to like each other?
Yep. True story.
It just doesn't make sense.
And then you get strong emotions mixed with alcohol sometimes, and things get misconstrued. And yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point on that, Mandingo. Good call on that, man.
I mean, even if they're cool most of the time, there's going to be that one night.
Yep.
where they end up fighting, and one of them all of a sudden doesn't even want to talk to you anymore, and it had nothing to do with you.
Yep.
So that's just how it's just how it is. Like I don't know, the drama typically.
You just gotta save yourself the headache. You know what I mean?
I try to, but sometimes it's just because. I mean, there's also they all congregate in the bathroom, so that's another place where it's like somebody could have a chatty mouth that doesn't even know you that well. Like there could be somebody in the bathroom who is saying Cesar this, Cesar that, and you know there could be a girl in there like, wait a minute, you've never tipped or even talked to Cesar a day in your life. And
that happens more often than you care to believe. Trust me.
I know. And then there's other girls in there that are gonna be like, well, what did Cesar do?
Yeah.
And they don't know you that well. They just got there. It's their first night.
Yeah.
Somebody could be looking at you as a potential like come back and get to know person, and they just don't.
They don't understand the difference. Yeah, and the thing I go to all the time, and like I said, that's why I'm gonna go more in depth in this in a different episode. Is the people that truly care about you, truly, like I am here to see Mandingo because I like who he is and he is a friend to me. They are gonna do what's in your best interest, which 99% of the time means not messing up your money from somebody else.
True.
You know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead. We're getting a little short on time, so let's talk about our last topic real quick, which is coworkers. So for me, because I can count choreography, because I am fairly good about recording choreography and keeping it in my brain fresh, I'm typically assigned with teaching you guys. I don't mind helping you guys, but what I have adapted is that I'm naturally a quiet person.
Yeah.
So I am not overtly friendly to the new guys until they have proven that they are motivated to stay. I'm not going to sit here and do everything I can for every new guy that walks through that door because they might not be here in a week or a month. You know, Randy is very infamous for that. He will help anyone with every ounce of his body, and I commend him for that.
Yeah.
But for me, it gets old teaching new guys the same acts to have them leave. And especially the ones that don't have the self-respect or the respect for the business to pay attention to what you're teaching them. So what I do, and then that's how I cope. I essentially prove to me that you want to be here and you want my wisdom and knowledge, and I will happily give it to you. But until you prove me that, then, you know, you're just going to be another name on the list until you're not. So, do you have anything to add about new guys as far as that regards? Because I do feel like the longer you're in the business, the more you're going to have to deal with new guys because you're the one that knows how to run, you know how to work it.
This makes me think, not just of some of my relationships with newer guys over the years, but of some of the guys that I work with, specifically Juice and Martine. Specifically Juice and Martine, because they typically, I don't think I'm that nice to new guys as they say. I mean, I'm pretty nice. I'm nice on a level of like, okay, you're here, I want you to be able to contribute to the team, so if you have questions, ask me. But yeah, I'm not gonna go so far out of my way to do all this stuff until they finally made me be like,
Until you hold their hand through the whole thing. That we're grown adults. Show us that you want to be here.
Yeah, and then at some point, but the thing about me, the minute that same thing with Juice. The minute, my bad.
You're good.
The same thing that Juice does when he recognizes somebody has worth towards the common goal, he's like, all right, I'm gonna help, and he goes out of his way sometimes, stretches himself a little thin, but I mean, a guy with that level of ability, he's never really stretching himself thin.
Yeah.
So, but he is very like towards like new guys until they're.
Yeah.
Martine's the same way. He doesn't dislike him. He just ain't gonna talk to him.
Yeah.
Me, I'm kind of the same way until like I start to see that, you know, like they're on to, they're trying to go in the right direction. Like trying. They might not even necessarily be going in the right direction, but they might be trying.
Then you can help kind of adjust a little bit from time to time.
Like they're new guys, man. They come and go.
Yep.
They do. Like.
Okay, so we've talked about the new guy aspect. How about over the long term dealing with your coworkers, other dancers that have gone the distance? Because let's just face it, it's a group of guys. There's no perfect working relationship or working environment. There's no perfect. There's always, maybe not necessarily that you're at each other's throats, but there's going to be conflicting interests.
I'll tell you this: the people that you love the most are the people you're gonna fight with the most. Like,
yeah, I could see that.
like
yeah,
every once in a while, and it's not even all the time, but over time you recognize tendencies in people, whether you love them or not. If you're around them long enough, that might bother you. And it's the same thing with other people towards me. Like, it happens. Like, everybody has that thing, or other people are like, why do you do that, or whatever. And over time, every once in a while, there's something that, I mean, it's almost every working relationship, in almost every job. But, I mean, when you work with people doing this particular business, and the teamwork aspect is so important that you need to be around people functioning outside of work, like to rehearse.
Mm-hmm.
You get to know the tendencies of people that you start to enjoy. You know, everybody has, where there's yin, there's yang. So all these, not even a lot of negatives, but I mean, everybody has that thing on both ends. So, I mean, it's almost like every other relationship. Just take it in stride, and every once in a while, you need a break from the people you're around. Yeah. It's not even like that different to me.
Like you mentioned, I try to, if there is someone that I conflict with, I keep it very professional with them. You know, I'm not hateful or anything, but I keep my distance when I know there's going to be things we conflict on. Mm-hmm. But that stays within the locker room. You know what I mean? I will help that person on stage every time they need it, and we're cool. I just know what parts of our relationship I don't agree with, and those are the parts I avoid. And then I also focus more on the people I do get along with. And me being a more quiet person helps me last longer with people, because they may kind of, hey, is everything all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just don't have something to say today. Mm-hmm. And once they get past that initial thing with me, then normally they're okay with the silence, and we jive on. It's cool. And it's so much easier to hang out with the people you naturally jive with, that it helps me keep those reservations for the people that I may not 100% agree with. Mm-hmm. But I also just simply acknowledge what I don't agree with and isolate it. Yeah. You know, so-and-so does this, like, for example, so-and-so is always late. I can't stand that. He is never on time. That's fine. I don't say because in my brain, I'm not like, okay, he's never on time, so I just hate him. Yeah. I'm like, hey, so-and-so does this, and that's great. Just understand that he's never going to be on time.
And also, that helps you in the future. It's like, just understand, if I carpool with this person, we might both be late. Like some shit like that. Yes, exactly. We're both going to San Antonio? I need to make sure this month. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. He's really bad at choreography. He doesn't. So I don't say he's a bad entertainer. I don't say he's a horrible friend. I'm just like, okay, understand that if I need to use him for choreography, he is not going to be strong at that. And that helps me really kind of eliminate if there's anyone that I just dislike, that don't keep that dude away from me. Yeah. Because at the end of the way, you can't control who's going to work there, who isn't, as long as they're just a bad apple. And then sometimes there might be someone that you don't agree with, but they're a great entertainer. So you're like, you know what? I might personally not agree with you, but I know you should be here, and so we'll push past this.
You know what? That makes me take one step back towards the new guy thing. I have been recently graced with the presence of a new guy or two that for some reason feels like they're entitled. You ever dealt with that? An entitled new guy, he might be making some money, so all of a sudden he feels like he might not have to help anybody. You know, like sometimes he'll help, you know, he's not necessarily a bad guy, but he has a lot of excuses or something. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm making this, but I don't want to actually contribute to the club in the sense that the other guys might need to be relieved because this guy so-and-so has been dancing for this long and he's in this many acts while this guy is standing on side stage making money all night and he's only been here 6 months and he's in this many acts.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and for those listening, he's holding up 0. So, yeah, no, and sometimes simply calling a person out in a proper manner goes a long way.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're even in a dancer meeting, be like, hey, understand I am not calling you out aggressively. I just want everyone to acknowledge this and have an open discussion about it. The fact that you have been here X amount of time and you help this many people, and that's not okay. And normally that sometimes, the majority of the time, will be enough to spark a change. Because they feel like they've been identified, that something they may or may not have known themselves, but now that they've been called out in front of everyone, now the ball is in their court to prove whether they want to change to accommodate it or not.
It's when they know and nothing changes that bothers me.
Exactly, yep.
That drives me absolutely bananas.
Alright, well, Mandingo, we are creeping up on time, brother, so let's go ahead and put a bow on this show here.
Alright.
We're going to sadly skip our worst and best events of the week, which I know is a fan favorite, but such is life. You'll have to tune in the next episode to find out. Where can people reach you at? What's your social media, if you don't mind?
I'm all over, man. You can catch me on Snapchat and Instagram by HeneTrain, HeneTrain, no underscore, no space. That's HeneTrain. You can find me on Twitter, HEN. Bear with me now. This is my Twitter, HEN3, and then train, no underscore, no space. Facebook, Mandingo Jones. Artist page, Hene, HENE, just by itself, HENE. I'm working on the Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music platforms, but for the meantime, I'm on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/HENE-train. That's how you find my SoundCloud. And I am on AudioMac. If you go to AudioMac, you look for the search bar, or go to the search bar, and you type in Hene, you'll find me.
And just for the fans to know, what kind of music are you putting out right now?
Well, I don't like to limit myself to a genre, but I am a rapper. I rap, I sing. I'm not a singer, I'm not really an R&B singer. I might have some R&B feel type music, but I rap about whatever I feel, honestly. I'm not like a specific kind of...
Okay, right on. Yeah, no, I mean, by no means, there's no right or wrong answer. I just wanted them to know so they had a better idea. All right, well, you can catch me on this podcast at both iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. On YouTube, it is going to be Cesar LeBear. On SoundCloud and iTunes, it's going to be Cesar the Crowd Pleaser. Cesar Collazo on Facebook. And then, of course, you can always hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, Cesar LeBear7. And lastly, patreon.com/crowd pleaser, where you can get all kinds of perks. Get to chat with me, talk about different topics for future shows and whatnot, as well as all kinds of perks with behind the scenes stuff of all the other great projects I'm doing, such as photo shooting, cosplay, the reality show, and videos of my podcast like this one here today with Mandingo.
Oh, forgot to mention, hate to interrupt, my apologies. Forgot to mention, birthday coming up this week. October 21st.
Oh, no kid. That's right, yeah.
San Antonio Hardbody, so come on out. Wear some tropical gear. This is acceptable. You know, I stay like this, but just had to squeeze that in there real quick. Go ahead.
No, definitely. By all means, check it out for his birthday. Sadly, I was down here for Titan's birthday, so I won't be able to come back for Mandingo's. Maybe next year I'll be able to wing it. And but he's a good friend of mine. Definitely, if you're in the area, check it out. He always puts on a phenomenal show, as you can tell on my reality show, the Crowd Pleaser Contest. He is one of our front runners, so definitely check him out. Come show him a little bit of love. At the very least, do it for me, since I won't be here. Mandingo, bro, really appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for the time, man.
Anytime.
And all right, well, appreciate everyone tuning in. Till next time, go see your favorite entertainer and keep making it rain.